This video is going to be a short walkthrough of some example tasks which will help you to prepare for your music theory exam and to familiarise yourself with the notation software which is used within it. So the first example task at grade 5 is to write a phrase with a pitched instrument using the following: 16th notes, 8th notes, quarter notes, half notes, whole notes and their equivalent rests. So to first get started with that and add some notes, we need to make sure we're in the note tab at the top here. And once we are, we can choose from one of these different note values. So you can click on quarter, half notes, whole notes, etc. So if we wanted to add a whole note, we'd make sure we've clicked on that, and you can hover over the stave and you can see the different pitches. And you click the notes in. So then we can go back and choose some half notes and click a half note in, quarter note, etc. Now if we wanted to replace one of these with a rest, we can click on the note that we want to do that to, and then click on this X in the top right hand corner here, and you'll see that replace with a rest of the same value. So likewise, if we were to click on one of these notes here and delete them, they'd be replaced with rests of the same value. If we want to convert one of them to a dotted note, again, click on the note or rest that you want to make dotted, and again, make sure you're in the note tab and use this dot button here, which will open up options of a single or a double dot. So if we clicked on the single dot there, you'll see that note convert to a single dotted half note. The next example task at grade 5 is to write a short phrase which includes slur, sforzando, tenuto and staccato notation, and then to try adding a accent onto one of those notes as well. So first, to add the notes in, we'll start again by making sure we're in the note tab in there and that we've selected a note value to input. So I'll choose 8th notes for this one, and we can click some 8th notes in there. And now once we've done that, if we want to add any articulations to those, we can click on the note that we want to add the articulation to, go up to this articulation tab up here, and if we wanted it to be an accent, we can click on that, and it will add an accent, and we can click on it again and it will remove the accent. Same for the tenuto, you can click on that, and the staccato, you see the staccato dot appear there and go away when I click it again. If we wanted to add a slur, we've got the slur tool up here, which once we've got that, we can drag it to different lengths if we needed to, and remove it by either clicking the X or clicking the slur tool again. And then finally, if we wanted to add the sforzando, we can go back into the dynamic tab here and select this button, and you'll see that appear. Again, you can remove it by clicking it again. So the third example task at grade 5 is to add a dynamic marking to a bar of music followed by a crescendo or diminuendo. So to do that, we first just want to click on the note under which we'd like the dynamic marking to appear. So we'll choose that C note there. And then if we just make sure we're in the dynamic tab up here, you'll see a list of options for dynamic markings. So if you can click on one, you'll see them appear underneath the score, and then you click on them again and you'll see it remove. If you want to add a crescendo or diminuendo, you can use these two tools here, and then you can drag them by clicking and holding to different lengths. So the fourth example task at grade 5 is to write an ascending scale which uses accidentals, and then to try this descending and using a key signature instead of accidentals. So first off, if we did want to use a key signature, we just make sure that we're in the measure tab up here and that we've clicked on this key signature button, and you'll see that when I click each of these options, they're reflected into the score. So if we go back, just choose no key signature for now. So if we wanted to add some notes in, we'll make sure we're in the note tab and that we've selected the note value that we want. So we'll go for quarter notes or crotchets here. You can hover over, see the pitches, and click those in where you'd like to. So I'll just go through and do that. So now if we wanted to remove this empty bar here, we just go up to the Measure tab again and hit the minus button there, and you'll see it removed. If you wanted to change any of the notes or even delete them entirely, you can first change them by dragging them up and down like this. And if you wanted to delete it, you can use this X button up here. If you wanted to add an accidental to any of them, again click on the note that you want to add the accidental to. We'll go up into the Note tab up here and you'll see these accidental options here. So if we wanted that to be a flat, click on flat. And if you keep clicking through, it will cycle through the options until you end up with no accidental again. The fifth example task at grade 5 is to write 2 consecutive chords using quarter notes, and to make sure that the notes are all stacked on top of each other when doing this. So we'll first make sure we're in the Note tab up here and that we've selected the note value we want to input, so we're going to use quarter notes for this. We'll hover over, see the pitches, and click those in where we'd like them. You can stack them on top like that. I'll do the same for the second one. And as was the case with the scales before, if you want to delete any, you can click on them and use the cross button up here, or you can add accidentals using the accidental buttons here. The sixth example task at grade 5 is to write 1 to 2 bars of piano notation in both treble and bass clefs, then add a glissando between 2 notes and pedal notation as well. So we'll first start off by adding some notes in using the Note tab up here and selecting one of the note values that we'd like to add in. So we use half notes, for example, here. You can hover over and see all the different pitches and click to add one in. And if we want to add some notation into the treble clef, we'll just click in there, and say if we want to add some eighth notes, we'll click on eighth notes and hover over to add those in. Now to add an extra bar, we can go to the Measure tab up here and click the plus button there, and we can now add some more notes here. So now if we wanted to add a glissando, we could click on this note here if we wanted to add it there, and go up to the Ornament tab and to the glissando button here, and you'll see that input. And if we wanted to add some pedal notation, we could go back down here, click on this note for example, and up to the Dynamic tab to find pedal notation, which you'll see at the end there. Click on that. And we can drag that to size as well. So the seventh example task in grade 5 involves amending the note value within a tempo indicator. So to do this, I can see the tempo indicator here, we just click on the note, and within this button here you'll see a drop down of different options. So if I clicked on this one here for example and then save, you'd see that update there. You can go back and change those as many times as you need. The last example question at grade 5 involves using drum notation. Now in the exam you'll be presented already with a drum stave to use, but for the purpose of practicing in advance here, you'll need to add one yourself by going up to this button up here. If you click on that and then Manage Instruments, add an instrument, percussion, and then if you click drum set, so we've now added a drum stave, which means we can get rid of that original piano treble clef. We can click done, and now you'll see a drum stave for you to practice with. So if we first wanted to add in some hi-hat notes, we could just first make sure that we're in the note tab up here, and we can select some eighth notes for example. If we hover over, we We can click those in. And now if we want to add in some bass and snare drum notes into there, we'll go up to this Voice 1 button here. If we click on that and select Use Voice 2, that will give you access to the lower drum voices. So now, for example, if we clicked over here and just make sure we're on quarter notes, we can add in some quarter note bass and snare drum notes, which will be in the right direction. And now, just because the example task asks us to add a fill at the end, I'll put some 16th note snares there. And if, for example, we wanted to delete these hi-hat notes here, we'd go up to Use Voice 1 again, so that now takes us back, so we've got access to this top voice where we can edit and move around all the hi-hats. So click on the one that we want to remove and click the cross button here. And likewise, if we wanted to remove this extra bar here, you can just go to Measure and hit the minus button there. And finally, if you wanted to amend these note values here, you can click on them and go back into the note section here and then click the quarter note, and you'll see that convert to a quarter note rest.